These are the cards most worth buying in Commander for September 2022.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, joined again by Amber, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds. We've got new videos for you every single day. If you want to join our Patreon, maybe something to consider after you watch this video, there's a link in the description. If you do, we'll love you as much as we can without making you uncomfortable.
That's direct support. Indirect support, why don't you try tcgplayer.com? Link in the description below. If you start with our link, you buy the same cards, same price, off the same awesome website. But guess what? The nerds are supported now.
Channel sponsored by Moxfield. Mid-roll ad. It's happening. Will you be able to guess where it is? No, but you can try. And happy birthday to everyone whose birthday is today.
All right, this video series, it's been going for a while now, and it's pretty simple. These are the cards that will perform at their dollar amount. Meaning, if something's worth $5, it's $5 good and worth purchasing. These are not speculations. We're not telling you buy 10 of these, buy 30 of these. We might say that sometimes, but we're not telling you to buy like a bunch of these because they're going to go up in price. No, that's not what we do here. We tell you what Commander cards are worth buying for your Commander deck.
Yeah, at their current price, they are like the most bang for your buck. We're going to start with Seedborne Reclamation. It's $2 and it gets back a permanent mana value of 3 or less, and then it flashes back, copies itself, and you get to do it twice. I'm still going to call this the White Cultivate. I still think this card's better than Cultivate. You're going to have to play it with probably fetch lands, though.
Yeah, this is a card that, though it's $2, it requires a lot of fetch lands to really get the bang for its buck. It's an okay card without them, don't get me wrong. This card is still good without fetch lands, but it gets a huge spike when it becomes a white ramp spell outside of your green decks.
Yeah, with fetch lands in your deck, I can call this a ramp spell. Otherwise, it's like a recursion spell.
Yeah,
but I want to play it as a ramp spell. That can also be a recursion spell.
Yeah, I think you don't. I'm going to be honest. Seedborne Reclamation, even though it's really cheap and a good bang for your buck, unless you're playing like budget fetches, then you want to keep this in your higher power decks where you have a lot of fetch lands.
It's a higher power card, but it's so worth $2. This card performs for me every single time. It's never dead in my hand. I'm never mad that I drew it. I love Seedborne Reclamation.
Yeah, key is fetch lands.
And it recently got reprinted, so it went down in price.
Yes, it is. It's only $2. You mentioned that, but it is only $2. Next, one that I think I'll just keep shouting from the rooftops until it's not affordable. Like this card, I think this card is worth that $30, maybe even $40. That's how good this Magic card is.
But it's only $10.
But it's only $10, and it's Mystic Remora, 1 mana. Whenever your opponents cast non-creature spells, they have to pay 4 extra, or you draw a card. It's got cumulative upkeep, but that's not going to keep this card down.
We don't really care about that.
We don't care about that.
Even in the late game, this is impossible to pay. I don't think I've ever paid for this.
I have seen this card paid for. It's like uber late game, and your opponent is out of cards.
They're desperate.
It's like they don't have anything else to do, so they're just going to pay it. This card is really, really good. It's a CDH staple on top of being just a regular EDH staple, and it's just amazing. It draws so many cards for 1 mana. If you're on the play, this card feels amazing. Every single one of their ramp spells for the next 2 turns, often it might just slow them down so they don't cast anything. And if you think that card's not good, that card is also very good.
Yeah, opponents can't make plays on turn 2. What's so brutal about it is you can play it on turn 1 or turn 2, and then they're going to pass and they're going to not play their spell. But you know what happens when you take your turn? I'll keep it around, and then we can play this game again next turn. Like, it's just so brutal. I think people are like straying away from this, maybe thinking that this is like too representative of CDH. This is right up there with Ristic Study. Get them in the same deck.
Yeah, there's going to be meta calls where certain metas where there's lots of creature-based stuff and like everyone's playing 30, 40 creatures, and this card will be meh. But in the average meta, if you go to a game store, it's going to be an amazingly powerful card.
Super sick nasty.
Literally any power level from like, it's literally could probably be from like 3 and up.
From like 0 and up. I mean, if you're playing non-creature spells, you still can't pay for this. Doesn't matter what they are.
I mean, almost all ramp is non-creature except for mana dorks.
Absolutely. Let's go to Glen, Elendra, Archmage. This is not a legendary creature. Glen, Elendra is a location. It's 4 mana for 2/2. You can sack it to counter a non-creature spell, but it's got persist. So if you can combo with putting +1 counters on it or blinking it or something, you can keep it in play and just repeatedly counter board wipes or anything that's going to mess up your game plan. That's only $10.50.
Yeah, and I know it has this on Beezy's mind. It was just in our tuna for Madrotha, so I bet you Beezy really got it into his
it was just in play against us the other day.
Oh,
that's what got me. That's why it was in my head.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a really, really strong Magic card. This tends to be weak against me, just like Mystic Remora. I play very creature based.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I'm just playing tons of creatures. So like these aren't countering poop against me. But this card is super strong. I mean, Glen Elendra also has combos where it just basically hard locks opponents. If you have like, for example, Machias in play, then you can just pay 1 counter any non-creature and it comes back.
How are they supposed to answer Machias? They have to use a creature spell to answer them, or it's getting countered.
Yeah, exactly. So Glen Elendra it's a really strong Magic card, and what I like about it is it gives you counter magic as a creature for creature decks. I think the things that come to my mind like the Scarab God. These decks that want all these creatures.
Falco, if you want to shout out Eli's deck.
Yeah, Falco. Oh, Falco is silly because Falco can take off the -1 counter to cast. That is a strong synergy.
Super, super cool. Let's go to Force Negation. This is probably the most expensive one on this list, but it's still worth $36 because you can cast it for free by pitching a blue spell to counter a non-creature spell if it's not your turn, and then exile the spell.
I mean, free counter magic is incredibly good and cannot be underestimated. Now, I think this is one you can generally avoid in lower power. But as you once you hit 7 and up, this card's going to be really, really good. Free counters always pull their weight, even when you think they're not going to. I've cast this even for 3 mana as a fallback because I just happen to have 3 mana. It's like, nice, I got to just do that because this has versatility.
Yeah, and your 7s out of 10 power level, this is definitely going to pull its weight. And I think we can point out, look at the prices of the other free counter spells. They're just not going down. They are only going up. Fierce Guardianship is like $100 now.
It's on the 75.
Oh my goodness! It's a very affordable, double the price of Force Negation. So maybe this one also on the way up in the near future. I don't know.
Force Negation. I mean, what brought it down? Double Masters reprint.
Yes.
I think this card was up at $50, $60 until it's Double Masters reprint.
I would not feel bad about picking this up at $36 if we didn't have them.
Yeah,
we do. But if I didn't have them, I would be buying them.
Yeah, good. This is just a good reprint that brought this down. Another card that was brought down by its Double Masters reprint, Consecrated Sphinx, which is an absolute house in Commander. If you don't know,
have you heard?
It's $22, and it's just one of the best blue cards in the entire format. Bar none, period.
Probably like top 20, easy.
It's so silly. It draws so many cards. In one go-around, you draw a minimum of 6. Minimum, and that's almost never what happens. It usually draws like 30.
Yeah, you're good for at least 2, assuming you played at the right time. I mean, they'd have to have an instant speed spell on their upkeep. Unlikely. Usually Consecrated Sphinx, if not answered, dominates the entire game. And these last 4, somewhat obvious, but it's worth pointing out that at their current price, it's not just like Force of Negation is good and Consecrated Sphinx is good. It's like at their current price, I'm stoked to pick one up.
Yeah, this video is not about bringing cards like out of the shadows to the light. No, this is about telling you, hey, if you're building Commander decks and you're on a fixed budget, which almost everybody is for Commander, these are the cards we suggest putting some money into because they're worth it for your decks.
I really like this next one because if you're in like Battlecruiser, non-combo metas, Recurring Insight, it's basically like 6 mana draw 12. It's $3, and it's got rebound, and it costs 6, and you draw equal to somebody's hand size, and then you do it again next turn for free. I just like this card. I like it. It's a high investment, but you're getting paid off. As long as you don't die immediately, you can take over the game.
What made me think about Recurring Insight was actually Consecrated Sphinx. So I was like, if we're not playing Consecrated Sphinx for whatever reason, what's the next big, giant, over-the-top draw spell in blue? And I think it's close, but I think it's Recurring Insight. It just draws so many cards. The minimum I've ever seen this draw is like 8.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's my opponents are low on cards at that time, and sometimes it draws 14.
But that's the thing, too, is it's still relatively amazing because in that table, if everybody has 4 cards in hand, drawing 8 is a huge deal. It's still like way better than what anybody else is doing.
Something I really like about this card is you get 4 right away, and this is interesting because you get 4 right away. Typically won't go over on hand size, whatever, but then next turn you untap and you draw the extra cards. Now you have all your mana and access to them, meaning you didn't have to go to discard. You're probably going to be able to, throw out your cards and maybe have to discard 1 or 2 at the end of the turn, but not many. I love this card.
Yeah, if you were mad at us for including Consecrated Sphinx and you still don't want to spend $20 on a Magic card, $3 for this amount of card draw, you're not doing any better than that.
You could even call this a budget Consecrated Sphinx.
You could, easily. I wouldn't fault you. How about black cards?
Black cards, BZ, what do we have first?
Oh, you passed it right back. This is Doom Whisper. It's $5.80. It's a 5-mana 6/6 Flampler, and you pay 2 life, Surveil 2. I played this card because I thought it was cool. Turns out, card's actually really, really good, especially the more aggressively you can take advantage of your graveyard. If you have free spells like Dread Return or like Bloodghast, Nether Trader type deals, Living Deaths in your deck, this card is off the charts, and it kind of doesn't look like the must-answer threat that it is. And almost is too late when it hits the field, kind of, right? Like, the thing it does is put 20 cards in your graveyard, then you win the game. Or put 8 cards in your graveyard, and you get value, and you draw a few cards, virtually. Can't stop it once it's in play.
Yeah, I agree. This card was no performer at one point where it showed up, and it never thought it was anything. Thought it was an okay card. Like, I wasn't going to go, Doom Whisper, awful card, but it's like, it's okay in Commander. But now, when I see it, it's like, okay, that thing needs to be answered. We got to get off the battlefield.
More so like that player needs to be given attention. We need to deal with that play.
Yeah, it also, speaking of something that we've been mentioning the past week or two now, more graveyard hate. This is one of the reasons these kind of cards that can just turbo 20 cards into your graveyard without any issue.
Yeah, it's $5.80. Probably one of the lowest prices this thing's ever even been at. Because it started out really high for whatever reason.
Yeah, I don't know what the cheapest this card's been at, but it's a strong Magic card. It's 5 mana. It's pretty pricey, but you get something no matter what. It's not an ETB, but once it's the battlefield, they can't stop you from activating the ability unless they have split second, which would be a shocker.
Yeah, and we don't care too much about this, but it is a big body that can connect some flying damage too. It's not a 2/2 flyer. It's a 6/6 with trample.
So you say the 6/6 body doesn't matter, but when you're in a combat meta, the 6/6 body matters a lot. It does a lot of damage. Speaking of putting stuff into the graveyard, we got Living Death next, currently $8. This is everybody reanimates stuff from the graveyard, and everything on the battlefield ends up in the graveyard. It's as simple as that. This card is just really, really good, and it is a win condition. We literally talked about it. We just did a win condition video on Friday, and this is one of the cards you mentioned because it's so dang good. It wins single-handedly all the time.
It's one of those, I built my deck a certain way. I'm playing 50 creatures. I'm doing everything the Nitpicking Nerds tell me to do. So then when you get me to turn 8, turn 12, turn 16, and whenever I draw Living Death, you're dead. Yeah. You're just dead. I have too many triggers. Blood Artist, all the Fleshbag Marauders come back, all the Elvish Visionary card draws come back, and you're just dominating in every possible sense. Your life total is the highest, their life total is the lowest. You have the most creatures, they have the least creatures. Good luck.
Living Death turns the tables in your favor, no doubt. The only weakness is sometimes with this card, there might be 2 graveyard decks at the table, so it's like you got to kind of figure out when to cast it, but the power of playing a card like Living Death is, well, you control when you cast the card.
Yeah, you have to spend mana to cast it. You don't have to do that.
Play graveyard hate people.
Ashiok them and then play Living Death. That's all you need to do. That's the best feeling in the entire world. Second only, I would think, to going to maxwellcom and building a commander deck because it's the best commander deck building website that has ever existed. You can tag your cards. You can play test your deck. You can sort them. Visual grid, text stack. You can sort by price. You can sort by attractiveness, probably. I don't even know. They have so many features. I don't even know them all.
And a feature I was just recently introduced to is that you can add basics with the click of a button. Scroll down the page a little bit. I'm showing on screen right now. Click it. Add swamp, add forest, add mountain, add island, add plains, add whichever one your deck needs in that order.
Thanks for letting me know what they were.
You're welcome.
Moxfield tells you what the basic land types are. So if you're not using this deck building website, you're out of your mind.
Because Moxfield loves to know your color of your deck. When you scroll down, it's not going to tell you to add a plains.
Now, it's not going to do what Joe just did and tell you all 5.
It's not going to tell you all 5 for your Jund deck. No, it's just going to tell you to put the Jund lands in.
Perfect. So go get Moxfield.com. Plenty of people have thought we were just memeing with these ads and then have been like, oh no, it was actually amazing.
Yeah, no, we literally just got a Twitter comment saying that. They're like, I know it's a joke, but it's like, no. Moxfield, we love to make our ads fun.
Joke.
We love making our ads fun, but seriously, Moxfield is a website we use for every deck.
How about red cards?
Red cards. Next is Stormkillartist. Magecraft, you get a treasure and it gets pumped. We don't really care about pumping its power, though I have seen it be relevant in niche situations.
Sometimes it's like a 12-2.
Sometimes it's a 12-2, and sometimes you care about creature power for some reason. So you can control its power too because you can just sack the treasure. So if you want it high, you want it low, you can do that. That's not what's relevant here. Every spell gets us a treasure, kind of like Burgie, but treasures stay behind.
Yes, it's $3.33, which is a pretty reasonable price still, even though it's recently doubled. So I'm kind of have my eye on this to where if I feel like I'm going to need some more, I might pull the trigger and buy 2 of them because it is an uncommon. Stormkillartist also has a Splinter Twin-esque wombo combo with Haze of Rage, where if you cast enough spells, the storm count will still give you treasures. So if your storm count's 2, you're going to cast Haze of Rage and get 3 treasures. Well, then it only really costs a net of 1. And now, every time you cast Haze of Rage, you're profiting treasures. So Stormkillartist gets infinite power, and then all your other creatures get infinite power, and you get infinite mana.
Yeah, there's combos with this card on top of it just being a good card for any Spellslinger type deck. You don't really need. I think what is the reason you know that this is $3.33 because you wanted to put it in your Baylor deck.
No, I just checked it. I think I considered it for my Balmore Battle Mage Captain deck, but it wasn't budget enough.
Yeah, exactly. But this is it's a great Magic card. You do get a lot of bang for your buck. Something about this, because we just happen to be down on a card that's pretty low in price, which is $3 here. We don't do anything under $2. That's more for our budget bombs type episodes.
We don't want to tromp on the budget bombs terrain.
They're different things. And besides, any card that tends to be under $2 is almost always worth buying, right?
How badly can you get burned?
Not too bad, though.
Not too bad.
This next one is exactly $2, and it is Blasphemous Act. And again, it's a card that I'm going to stand on my soapbox and yell at you and tell you to buy this over and over again. And I don't think no one's arguing with me about this card. No one's telling me it's bad, but I'm going to keep telling you, keep buying Blasphemous Act. I'm glad it keeps getting reprinted into the ground because this might be one of the, if not the best board wipe in the entire format. It's that good.
You're gonna need it. If you build more than one deck a year, you just should have Blasphemous Act laying around in your bulk bin or your trade binder or something. Make sure you have them. This is a card I'd buy 3 of. I wouldn't buy 1.
This deck Blasphemous Act goes in my budget decks. It goes in my non-budget decks. It goes pretty much everywhere except for CDH.
It's like one of the most playable red cards they ever made.
It might be the best fair red card they've ever printed. Because if we exclude like broken stuff like Dockside Extortionist and Jessica's Will, and we just talk about fair cards, this might be it.
It's a real good one. Let's go to green. We got Oracle of Moldiah. In my head, this card is still $40, but in reality, it's $9 because it got a Jumpstart reprint, and I think it was in Baldur's Gate something or other. So it's $9, and it's a 4-mana 2/2. You can play 2 lands, and you can look at the top card of your library. If it's land, you can play it. So if you play Oracle, and then you play the 2 lands off top of your library, you just drew 2 cards.
I think it's actually a double master card.
That might be it.
I think that's what was reprinted most recently. And yeah, it's $9. Oracle is just a really, really strong magic card. It gives you an extra land drop, and it makes sure you're not drawing lands, essentially, which is very, very powerful while ramping you. This card just does a bunch of different little things, and combining with fetch lands, now you can change the top card of your library when you need to. Ooh, I don't want that card at all.
Spry.
Shuffle it away, basically.
Yeah, this card is off the charts strong. It's really, really like subtly powerful. You will lose the game to this if you just let it sit out forever, especially in these landfall decks. This is like the PSA. This card's $9. If you ever had any problems with picking it up, now is the time. This is like the lowest ever.
This is a card that throughout the channel's history, we've gone up and down on where it's like, hey, we don't really play this. Hey, we're playing this a lot. Hey, we're playing this even more now. This card it's just good. And if you're building a green deck, you can just throw it in without much synergy and you won't have any problems.
Yeah, this was unaffordable for so long.
Now, that being said, the next card that we're about to talk about, you need a ton of synergy. But when you have it, this is one of the best cards in your deck. When you have this energy, bar none. Seedborne Muse, currently $11. At each player's upkeep, you untap everything too. As long as you have ways to spend your mana, that's all you need because this card becomes incredible. It's not like, think of Mirari's Wake. That's a mana doubler. Mm-hmm. This is a mana tripler or quadrupler. It's a quadrupler. You get all your mana and then you get all your mana again and again. And if you're using that mana, that is insane value.
Yeah, blue lets you counterspell and maybe save this thing. Activated abilities on lands are a really surefire way to ensure that you have something to do. Make a token. It's better than nothing. It just lets you take way more game actions than anybody else. And if you can build your own Prophet of Krufix, that card's banned, and that card deserves to be banned. So get your own bannable power card.
And if you didn't know, now that Amber's here, I can tell you this. Seedborne Muse isn't a trigger for some reason. When the other player untaps, you untap with them. You can do the stupid R untap step joke. I've heard it so many times, but you can just say R untap step.
Yeah, as soon as you pass the turn, if it gets to the next person's turn, can't stop that untap.
Yeah, that's what happens. The first thing happens on anyone's turn, they untap. And
that's not something that can be responded to.
And now you untap with them. Amber just got really happy about something.
Amber loves Seedborne Muse. She also probably loves Greater Good because it's a $3 4-mana enchantment. Lets you sack a creature to draw cards equal to its power and discard always 3. So if your creature is 3 power or greater, it's a free roll and you're either filtering or going up cards and putting everything in your graveyard.
This card, I think, is just criminally underplayed. Absolutely criminally underplayed. This card,
backbreaking.
It is incredible. Like you said, backbreaking. You get into the later game, you can just basically mill out your whole deck when you have a bunch of creatures. Oh no, I have to discard all the cards that I'm drawing. Who cares if you're a graveyard deck, right?
This is one of the problems with this card if you're one of the opponents who has to deal with it, is if they untap with it, they get to sack their entire board, look at the top 35 cards in their graveyard deck, so they just need to spam Greater Good until they draw Living Death and then cast it. This isn't just Greater Good. It's Greater Good plus if you untap, you cast the best card in your deck guaranteed and you bring back all your creatures.
This card just digs so deep so easily. It is an incredibly strong magic card that can be card advantage or it can just be card parity that's filling up your graveyard. I've seen this card just win by itself because you don't have to have anything in your hand. You can just dig until you find exactly what you're looking for. And if you have let's just say 20 power, like which is reasonable to have on board for some decks. Okay, I'll draw a fresh 20 cards, and yeah, sure, I got to discard a bunch of them, but I'm going to find exactly what I need, which is probably like Living Death or Rise of the Dark Realms.
Yeah, and God help your opponents if you have some star like Lord of Extinction or something. They might as well just quit.
Yeah, I'll draw 50, discard 3.
Yeah, there's plenty of creatures that their power does not reflect their mana cost. So Greater Good, $3. I think it's a card that's seen enough printing, so it's not like, why is this card $3? It's more like, why aren't you playing Greater Good?
It is criminal. Literally criminal. You're going to jail if you're not playing.
We'll make it short about how criminal it is.
Yeah, if you're not playing Greater Good, you're going to jail. Think about that.
This next card is criminally strong because they just put 85 words on it. It's Kodama of the East Tree, 6 mana, 6/6 reach, nobody cares. But when your permanents enter, if they're not triggering off this ability, you get to put a permanent with equal or lesser mana value into play.
This card is silly. This card is so silly. Play a land. Get a land in play. Why is
bare
it
minimum?
That's the bare minimum.
Tokens put lands.
Tokens put lands. This card just goes off. It has a million combos for starters. Like,
yeah.
That's one thing is you can do. There's bounce land combos with this card.
Field of the Dead, Tago, all those friends.
Any landfall, make a token combos with a bounce land in this deck. You just win the game off of that. That's how silly this Magic card is. But besides that, play it in a fair deck. I have it.
Tons of mana advantage.
Yes, I have it in my my Henzi Toolbox Tour deck. This is one of the cards I don't want to blitz because I want to play it and then I want to blitz a bunch of things. And while I'm blitzing and cheating mana on my blitzes, they still cost like 7 mana. Okay, I'll drop a 7-drop in with my other 7-drop.
I think if you're a green deck on a budget that's $50 or more, this card should just be in your deck. It doesn't really even matter what your deck's doing just because of the price is low enough and the power is ridiculously high enough that I'm just going to play this. It'll be good. Don't worry.
It's a game-winning card. It really is. It's like you said, it is mana advantage out the
wazoo.
I was going to say wazoo. Weird that you picked up on that.
That's the only word that could finish that sentence.
Out the wazoo? Yeah. That's good. That's fair. Next, we have Ruinous Ultimatum. This is very specific. You're only going to play this in Mardu decks or
7 pips, baby.
It's 7 pips. So you're playing in exactly Mardu decks, but it's $4 and it destroys all non-land permanents your opponents control. This just warps the game. I've seen this card just win basically by itself. It's back-breaking.
Oh, you thought I was ahead. Now you have nothing, and I'm miles and miles ahead. And my creatures are unblockable because you don't have any. So maybe I kill somebody the same turn. I don't know. This can be better than Cyclonic Rift in a Mardu deck.
I mean, it's not better than Cyclonic Rift, but it still performs incredibly well. This card
It can be. Not a lot of cards can say that.
Yes, that is fair. It performs better. This card is silly strong. You just wipe the board. You keep all of your stuff. Your opponent's stuff is all in the graveyard. It's all off the board. And we're not just talking creatures. Like, yeah, sure, there's lots of ways to do some creature wipes so that you end up with the only creatures on the board. This is just no. It's not even that. Just everything's gone. Get it out of here. Oh, is that Soul Ring? Get it out of here. Talisman? Out of here. Is it a land? Well, you can keep that. But everything else out of here.
It's no build around. You just got to make sure your deck can cast this card. And I think with Signets running around, it's not even that difficult. Not as difficult as it looks, that's for sure. And it's just going to wreck them. They send them back to the Stone Age. You get to keep everything. Plain and simple.
There's one question I'm asking. Am I playing CDH? Okay, so the answer is no to that usually for me. So am I playing Mardu? Yes. Okay, I'm in. This card is just going in every single Mardu deck. I can see 4 colors not wanting to go with this, but if you have a really good mana case, 4 colors, 5 colors, easy.
Between Mythos of Snap decks and this, Mardu has some banging board wipes.
Mardu just has some of the best board wipes.
All right, this next one's really simple, so we don't have to spend much time on it. It's Assassin's Trophy. It's $6, and it's a complete catch-all because it destroys any permanent you don't control, and the owner gets a basic land. So this isn't like an early game card, but it can be in an absolute pinch. But late game, you just basically path to exile any permanent.
Yeah, this is where I call it Reduke again because Reduke hates giving away resources.
You can't handle it
in Commander. That's 1v1 formats, Mr. Duke. 1v1.
I didn't like this card for a while, but I've just come around and it's just such a catch-all.
Catch-all at 2 mana. Your catch-alls cost 3 mana. That's where
the standard rate. Chaos Warp, Beast Within.
Yeah, that's the standard rate. 2 mana? Okay, I will give up that mana. Now, like you said, it's not something I'm looking to fire off turn 2, turn 3. No. I want to go into the late game where the land doesn't matter as much usually. But still, they got a Soul Ring? I will use this on turn 2 every single time. You can have a land. I don't want you up 2 mana. 1 mana is way better than 2 mana every single time.
Absolutely. So Assassin's Trophy, just such an efficient removal spell. Even in your creature decks, this transcends the 50 creature rule where it's like, I want some unconditional removal for like, humility or some of these worst case scenarios. So get Nature's Claim in there, and this is like the next one I go for in these green-black decks.
No, it's sad. The regular ones are so cheap; they're $6. But this awesome one right here, the
Secret Lair,
the Secret Lair metal one is like $26. It's so cool though. Get it. It's probably still worth $26 if you ignore the fact that the normal ones are $6.
Right. Perfect. Yeah, don't even think about it. Let's go to Wargate, a card that is recently plummeted from its dumb price spike of $17. It's now $4.25, and it's X Bant, search for a permanent mana value X, and just put it into play. So at baseline, this is 3 mana, go get your best land and put it on the battlefield, which is like so above rate.
Yeah, that's already really, really good. 3 mana, put any land from your deck into play. That's just a good Magic card, right?
It's weird because I feel like if that was how it was worded, this card would see way more play. People just don't see that.
Well, I think one of the main reasons this doesn't see as much play as it could is 3 colors.
Well, I'm talking about even in 3 colors.
Yeah,
this is like a staple.
I think it is very good in 3 color decks. I agree with you completely, especially if you're permanent based at all. If you're looking to tutor up things, if you're looking to put creatures in play, this thing is really, really strong. And the fact that it doesn't just get creatures, any permanent, yes, lands, yes, mana rocks, yes, any combo piece that my deck could possibly be playing.
Mirari's Wake, Enray's Forerunners, Field of the Dead. It's just every card in your deck Wargate represents. It's fantastic, and it's $4 now. It's nothing.
Yeah, like you said, I really do love that description of the baseline is go get your best land for 3 mana. That is really, really strong. Get your Field of the Dead for only 3
Don't tempt
mana.
Me. Don't tempt me because I'll do it.
You have you ever done it before? Got Field of the Dead with this?
Yep.
I'm sure you have. That makes a lot of sense. Next, we have one that BZ put on there. It's Mesmeric Orb, currently $11. 2 mana artifact. Whenever someone untaps a permanent, boom, they're milling 1. This is actually one of the best mill cards in the entire format.
It's kind of tricky because you don't want to mill them too much because there you are giving away value when you mill, but it's so little investment for you. You just pay 2 mana and you're done. And you can mill 50, 60 cards with this over the course of the game. If you're trying to get your library dead, maybe you got a Nexus of Fate in your library, this is the card for you.
2 things about Mesmeric Orb that I want to say. First, it's amazing at milling. You only really, the main spot you want this is your mill decks, right? This isn't the card I think goes in a ton of decks, but when you have homes for it, things that want to fill your opponent's graveyard, I'm in. Like we left it in the Muldrotha, no, not Muldrotha, it was, Mimeoplasm. We left it in the Mimeoplasm deck because even though we don't want to mill our opponents, this mills at such a ridiculous rate overall that it's actually worth it. 2 mana to just mill 30, 40 cards easily.
At a certain point, this is a clock. You oftentimes will not mill out to this, or you have some kind of way to I have Nexus of Fate in my deck, so if I mill out, I win. This is hey, you can't untap 15 permanents every turn and not die.
And also, if you're playing Mesmeric Orb, what have I been saying this whole video? Oh, play Graveyard Hate.
Yes.
Because then what you can do here is you mill them, and you probably want mill. If you're playing, you probably want to self-mill if you're playing Mesmeric Orb. So we're all milling, and then I'll just slam the Ashiok, boom, put 4 more cards in my graveyard, your graveyards are gone.
Yeah, Soul Guide Lantern, Leyline of the Void even might be good with this, depending on what your deck is. And that is... Mesmeric Orb plus this Graveyard Hate is really hard to come back from because your deck is just gone. You just lose half your deck.
Yeah, and a lot of times, depending on the strategy, you can get really hated out by having all of your cards exiled. A lot of decks can rebuy their pieces. If they're looking to combo specifically, if you mill a specific piece and then exile it, that's tough for them to come back from. A lot of decks can't. There's some decks that can't win without their Thoracle.
Right, and there's some decks that can't win without a pair of boots. It's Lightning Greaves, $6.50, and I'm not even going to read it because everyone knows Lightning Greaves does. This is a card that is pretty overplayed, but it's still worth the money because some decks where you want to activate your commander immediately, protect it, keep it on the battlefield where it's not cheap or it's not easy to replay, and then give it haste or crack in for damage, that's where you want Lightning Greaves. It's really good.
It is really good. I think that, like you said, I think this is a very overplayed card in Commander because people just look at it and say, every commander wants haste. Every commander wants
I don't want my commander to die. It's yeah.
Yeah, but you don't need Lightning Greaves necessarily. I really love playing it when I want protection and haste. If I want both, 100% in on Lightning Greaves. It's a really, really good Magic card. And Swiftfoot Boots is really cheap. It's a budget bomb now, which is awesome. But that doesn't change the fact that Lightning Greaves still a tier above.
0 mana equip. It turns it into my elf deck. My creatures, I have a lot of mana dorks in my deck. Well, I can't play Swiftfoot Boots into anything, but Lightning Greaves lets me generate mana now.
Yeah, exactly. Lightning Greaves is a very, very strong Magic card. There's just find the decks for it. I think that, like you said, overplayed, but there are a ton of decks for it.
Like Itali needs Lightning Greaves to live.
It loves Lightning Greaves. There's any of your big giant, anything that is reliant on getting in combat and attacking, Lightning Greaves 100% goes in that deck.
It's like Yuriko does not need Lightning Greaves. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, Yuriko doesn't need Lightning Greaves. It has no need for Lightning Greaves. But you know it does. My Ishan deck. Not that Ishan needs protecting, but I want haste because all my
Haste on those attack triggers.
all my creatures want to attack.
Absolutely. And there's only one more. What is it?
It's City of Brass. Taps for mana. You lose 1 life. Pretty simple. Actually, it deals 1 damage to you.
Yeah, and there's pretty much no way to prevent that.
There isn't really a way to, but it does go on the stack, so you can actually prevent it by countering the trigger.
Perfect. Also, it's a rainbow land, and we're at 40 life, so it's super easy to not care at all about it, especially when every other land in the format that deals damage to you can be mitigated by Yavimaya or Urborg.
This is the 4th or 5th card from Double Masters. Double Masters really drove down a lot of cards. And Mana Confluence, even though it just got its secret layer reprint, and those have been chipped out, that's still $25.
They're not going down, but this one is the one I'm picking up right now. City of Brass is playable and probably could go in every single deck that is 2 or more colors, just in terms of how good of mana fixing it is. So we're starting to slowly pick them up and get them in our decks that they should be in.
Was this Baldur's Gate or was this Double Masters?
I thought, was Mana Confluence Baldur's Gate? I don't know. Maybe this was Baldur's Gate.
I don't know. It doesn't
It's
matter.
one of them.
Regardless, this was reprinted and it is cheaper now, and we're glad to be getting it for $13. We do these every single month, except last month, but we usually do it every single month. So go check out 2 months ago's video.
You're going to learn something.
Peace out, Tribe Scouts.